Okay, so I'll be recording this session, so hopefully we may be able to post a link to it afterward. Okay, so what I'll do is, first of all, I'll cover the larger term picture, and then I will switch back to the chat box and see if you have any immediate questions. We will then go back to the shorter term time frame and explain to you my reasons behind it. Okay, so first of all, this is the chart that I have posted some while back, I think about a couple of weeks now, or just over a week. And larger term, on a longer term, I do expect Bitcoin actually to make a lot more progression to the upside, and my original chart I posted, talks about somewhere in excess of 5-6,000. I think that's not necessarily unrealistic, and the reason why I've come to that is because whilst we don't have a price coming in on our chart here before this date, which is July 2010. So when you see this kind of pattern, I'm making an assumption. So this is an assumption on my part that maybe what we got is some kind of a leading diagonal, which means we have done like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that gives me my initial larger wave 1 in square bracket, then retracement larger wave 2 in square bracket, and then it looks like we are in a larger wave 3 square bracket over here. Don't know exactly where that's going to be, but probably somewhere up north. Okay, so within this we have 3 cycles. We got this cycle here, which is 1, 2, and then we are currently in a progression to complete this cycle 3. And within this 3 cycle, we've got this an intermediate cycle, which is Roman numeral 1 in parenthesis, wave 2 in parenthesis, wave 3 in parenthesis. Now it's debatable whether wave 3 in parenthesis is actually finished or is it being completed now, and that, I'm afraid, is left to interpretation and a little bit difficult. But I think the overall picture, we will come to some kind of a coherent picture in a moment. So assuming that either we have made a wave 3 already, which is the last all-time high we had, and is made up of this minute wave 1, minute wave 2, minute wave 3, minute wave 4, and then the minute wave 5. So that includes this wave 3 at the top here. Okay, so if this wave 3 is complete, then we should have A, B, and C. That's what I'm expecting. That's why I am appearing to be quite bearish longer term, but not necessarily, when I say longer term, intermediate term bearish, but longer term I'm still expecting prices to make a new high before we have this major retracement. So this is just a grand sketch of overall expectation. So the thing is, we are right at this moment here. What are we doing now? One of the reasons is, you see within this blue rising trend channel, I have this minor brown trend channel, and within that you can see the wave 1, wave 2, and then this one is representing the 5 wave pattern to the upside. So that's got 1, 2 here rather, 3, 4, and 5. Now if that 5 is finished, then we expect to come back to the baseline. Okay, that's one of the reasons why I'm expecting at least a retest of 450. Whether that retest happen almost now or it happen after we make a equal high or like a double top and then fall. I was hoping that was going to continue almost straight away from the last target we had, which was a 950 area, but it appears that has not happened. So what are we now doing is, we're expecting at least still retracement back to that line, but maybe we might make almost like a double top. So far I don't expect you will have major questions, but let me just check and then I'll turn into the intermediate chart using the 4 hour. So bad network. So are you all with me so far? Yes, okay. So if you're with me, I will then continue. Okay, uh, and so let me go on to this shorter term chart now. Okay, so in the shorter term chart, that wave 3 in parentheses was at this level here. Okay, I understand the audio is choppy. There could be a couple of reasons, then just bear with me, and I will, as I say, I am recording. So what will happen is that we will be able to post the link to the recording. So if you can't, for some reason, find that the sound is acceptable, then okay, great. So let's continue. Yeah, and we can review it later by using the recording, because okay, so here we have made okay, what I was going to do is actually type in here, but it looks like for some reason it's not typing. So this, what I was going to type in there is remove that, and I was going to type in here what the larger time. Okay, this is puzzling. Okay, so in my other chart you will see that this particular wave I've labeled as Roman numeral 3 in parentheses, and the question now arises is whether in fact we have the adequate amount of correction. Now in the Elliott wave, normally what you would expect is like a B and C kind of correction, but if it is C, it has to have 5 waves. So that's a premise. Okay, so we can accept this one as W, X and Y, which is the label I have applied on. Let me just actually bring that chart up with so I can show you. Label. Okay, so it's you will see in one of the chart, and I will refine the chart and post it for you later on. So this here, the first decline is W, X and Y, and the reason why it's W, X and Y is because it's like a non-specific waves. It's not exactly giving the correct structure of like a 5 waves. So it's then called W, X and Y to give you like a larger A. Then you got retracement B, and you got this final leg down as a C. But if that was a C, we would expect a 5 wave within this section here, and we don't have 5 waves. If you just eyeball it without sort of becoming Elliott wave technician, is you got this first one down, which is acceptable, but then this part here is it doesn't blend in, because even if you assume that this is wave 1 and then this is wave 2, then we have only 3 swings down. We don't have 5 waves down. We should have wave 1, wave 2, and then we should have 5 waves down to complete wave 3, retracement, and then final leg for 5. We don't have that. To me it looks like more like an ABC, like A, B and C, except that we don't have 5 waves. So that's why it's non-specific waves. So we call them WXY to give you larger W, retracement X and Y. So I've labeled that as a capital A. So if you ignore everything and just expect that this is just one cycle down wave A, now we are going back up in cycle which is a wave B. Now where will wave B actually finish? Previously I was expecting it to finish around anywhere from about 850, because there was a potential falling wedge, or rising wedge rather. So on a rising wedge pattern we could have expected that to end, so that would have been like an ending diagonal. We would have had a decline to the downside. However, here now when we have the price action that has happened in the last 3-4 hours, maybe a little bit longer. I think what we've got is that we have possibly this coming up is again non-specific waves, because this one is not an impulsive wave. Because what Elliott wave says, or techniques, is that if this was wave 1, we'd be able to plot a trend line up like that, right? And then we'd be able to apply the trend line on top of wave 1, and we should be able to expect price action within that channel, but we've not had that. So that's why this initial thrust up is not wave 1, and that is why the steepness of wave 1 is so steep, and the rest of the wave, although is very powerful, is not as steep as that. So I'm calling that wave W, this is wave X, and this is Y. So that's given me like a wave A in bracket, wave B in bracket, and now we are looking for wave C in bracket, and the wave C must have 5 waves. Okay, so now we've got this as possible wave 1 in parenthesis, wave 2 in parenthesis, and we are currently working on wave 3 in parenthesis. So far it looks like we are in this minor trend channel, and that's like 1, 2, possibly 3, which will be almost by the time we reach this last spike high here, maybe around 1050 area possibly. Then we'll probably get a pullback to maybe 990, 980 somewhere, which is again where I've drawn this horizontal dotted red line, which is that spike high. It's quite possible. And then we'll make a thrust up, so that could take us into this kind of price action, which is around 1150 area, right? And then we'll get another sell-off back towards 1000 area possibly, and then final leg up. So we'll get 5 waves up. We'll get wave 1, wave 2, this wave 3, this one is 4, and this is 5. And remember, I am anticipating this because so far the price is only up to here. So rest what I'm painting is basically my interpretation and expectation, how I begin to see what will happen. But one of the thing is that if I now take this leg as a wave A, which got W, X and Y, so wave A, the Fibonacci's would have a relationship between wave A in bracket and applied it from the bottom of wave 2, or so rather wave B in bracket, to see where the wave C finishes. So one of the relationship could be that it could be 161%. That means we could possibly find a top in the region of 1150. Okay, so 1150, that will be approximately where this price is here. So that's one possibility. Maybe I'm being over ambitious and we might not go all the way there. Maybe we will just top out at this area. Or if we continue in this minor trend channel, in other words, this price pulls back to approximately 980 and then make this leg up, that will still be part of this wave 3 in parenthesis, in which case we should pull back to this level and go for it. And see this pitchfork that I've applied? You've seen my chart with this pitchfork before, slightly different, but overall the actual context in which it is plotted and the outsides and the median line pivoted is the same pivot. And what I've done is, if you go into that pitchfork and modify, you'll see I've applied 150. So in other words, if we have the repeat of 50% of this width, right? If I actually put, and I'll show you why, if I actually put 50% in here, which is pink, you'll see how price reacted here, you'll see how price reacted there. So now that we are going to break, if we break, we haven't broken yet, but if we break, then chances are that we would go all the way to here, which is that line there. And if that happens, then based on my other Fibonacci relationship, one is that we have come back into the previous high. Secondly, 200% of this leg mean that I would come into that vicinity. And then if these current blue trend lines continue to work, then most likely we would come into that area, and I would expect that either we would be just short of this all-time high, or we might just clip it by maybe, I don't know, $20-30, maybe $50 above that, which would look like a false breakout, and many people will either have stops there, so they will be taken out prematurely, or others will be enticed to enter long, and therefore they will be trapped. And I'm expecting, based on that logic, I'm expecting then the prices to decline from there. Okay, now I know I'm being very bearish here, and many of you will think that this is really crazy, but I'll explain to you now my final reason why I think I'm having issues with this somehow. So I'll leave that out, and I will then post a recording of this, and I will post sort of a slightly refined chart updating my current published chart. Okay, so this one is going to be quite strong, and it will have 5 waves in them. In fact, if I was to draw the 5 waves, we'll probably have, this is just a sketch, okay, so don't just get too particular, just follow the concept. So we're looking for drive down, retracement, another drive down here, wave 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so now what that will do is in the Elliott wave, and you've seen a couple of my diagrams, we could have ABC like that as one possibility. I don't think we are in that now anymore. The other one is we have a flat, which is A, right? Then we got A, B and C, and in this case we are almost coming back to the top, and then we'll have a leg C. Okay, so in other words, the Elliott wave says that if this one happens to be 3 waves, let me just adjust that a little. So if this one happens to be 3 waves, which is I think what we got so far, I've just explained that and you will have followed me. So if this happens to be 3 wave, little crude drawing, if it happens to be A, B, C down, then we got A, B, C back up, then this wave will have 5 waves. So that's a general Elliott wave rule, that would be 5 waves. So that's one possible, and I think we are currently working on that. So if that scenario holds, then this is what we are expecting. We are expecting that to almost come close, if not all the way to there, come close to it, or do an overshoot, because wave B can do an overshoot, and then we will have this 5 wave decline. And this 5 wave decline, I'm being cautious that at least expecting a retest of 450 before we get a new impulsive move to the upside, which will be a lot more dynamic and a lot more stronger than that, and that will go on to make a new high. Based on this other chart, we'll be looking for that one to tag this top trend line, and if you just eyeball it, we could well be talking about maybe 2000, maybe 2500, somewhere in that. But it's crazy figures at the moment, but it's simply using this as a schematic diagram. So that's what we are expecting, and then we'll have this 5 wave decline before we continue for that new leg up. So that's the Elliott wave reasons why, the way I am thinking, so that it doesn't appear as though I am just pulling out ideas out of my hat and trying to fit the price. I am following some logic. There is no way of knowing exactly when you're right up there exactly where things gonna go, and I think no matter which particular technical analysis we follow, I think that degree of uncertainty is always going to be there. However, I think I have pointed out relatively soon enough where my intended or expected target or short that I was expecting is likely to now fail, but it's not failing because the overall precept has changed. I think what has happened is that this wave has now adopted what a Elliott wave would call this a flat, because you got this wave A down, wave B almost going back to that same territory, so it's called a flat, and in which case we would see 5 wave down. So that this probability now increases the more this price goes up. This 5 wave decline probability increases. So that's my sketch. You may agree or disagree with it, but if you do disagree, what I don't expect is people to be abusive or people to be completely disrespectful, because I don't do that. But obviously if you have a particular view, I would be more than happy to entertain. Not saying that I will agree with it, but more than happy to entertain and at least try and understand your side of your analysis. And who knows, maybe you've seen something that I haven't. And I would readily admit I do not have the background feel and knowledge, nor do I follow Bitcoin to the extent that many of you enthusiasts do. But I think I am purely following this from price perspective rather than fundamental in any particular shape or form. If we hit this target, I would be well satisfied that it's not a new trend. Nevertheless, it's a bear market rally, and I do have several Fibonacci lining up there. I've got double the length of that one coming in there, as you can see. Then I have that wave projected from here, 138% coming into that area. And then if I do this one, which is currently the final wave, if I do this wave 3 then and apply it from where I think the wave 4 is going to be, it's not there yet, I'm only estimating. If it's going to be from there, then Elliott wave says it's going to be about 50% or 61.8%. You can see all of those Fibonacci's coming into same area, and then together with my pitchfork comes into that vicinity. So I think based on that, that's what I'm expecting. Okay, so let me see now what questions you have and see whether you need me to clarify anything. And maybe perhaps this bad connection thing is not going to help me very much, and I'm going to struggle to even see any of your questions. So I think the best thing, I hope you'll forgive me for this problem that I'm experiencing here, because if I'm closing this, that should disappear and I should be able to see all your questions here. Okay, but what I could do, with your permission, is that I would end the call here, because I think this is not going to help us progress any further. So I'm going to end the call here. Hopefully you got something. I'm going to post the recording. Once you have the recording and you played it through, because any sound problems you've got, maybe some of that will be over, I will also then post a refined chart, update it, or make a new publish a new chart. Okay, so once you've gathered all of that, then I'll be more than happy to entertain your questions. And what we could do is maybe arrange another session. If I can't do it on this particular platform, then maybe we can find a different way of doing it. Okay, maybe we can do it on Google, but the reason why I did it on this one, because I have used this platform before. I've not experienced the problem that I'm having now, where we can have many people attend and they can all put a question directly in there, and I can read them off and I can then answer with you. And also this platform have a facility, if I don't have a problem on my PC, is I can actually offer any one of you a mic, and you could then speak to me. Maybe even you can share the screen with me and explain what it is you wanted to say. Okay, so that's the reason why I thought I'd try this one out. But I haven't used this platform for nearly 6-7 months now. In fact, the last time I used it was April 2013. So I hope you'll understand and forgive me for inconveniences. But let me conclude my recording here. I will post this recording. Hopefully it's turned out good.